So it'll be interesting to know where it all started, how it started with, in 7 years, heading product Naadi.
What do you think Naadi design is going to do? Do you feel like AI can completely eliminate a designer ever? Been in tech for a decade?
Yeah, over 2 decades now.
Let's say they take a Pinterest image and they say, I want exactly this, I want exactly that. Is it curbing the designers? Are they becoming just duplicators of Pinterest images? How behind is the Indian industry?
So it'll be interesting to know where it all started. I would like to recollect those days when you came to Inch to lead the production, and fast forward, I think close to 7 years.
7, 8.
Yeah. What anchored you to this industry?
So to be very honest, when I joined as a fresher, if you recall, my cousin told me, you just join for 1 year, you do anything anywhere, and you come out with a 1 year experience and you'll get a job in a good company. So to be very honest, that's the mindset with which I've joined Inch. But soon, very, very quickly, I just got glued in. There were so many problems to solve. It was fun. I was just enjoying my work day in and day out. Sometimes it was exhausting, but there was never a day I thought, no, I don't want to do this. I want to go out. I want to run away or anything like that. It was very, very interesting. It just, stuck with me for some reason.
So your story always is very inspiring story for me to share to others. How it started with, production, mechanical, then getting into the design team, and then into tech. In 7 years, heading product Naadi.
So again, just to recall, I was very adamant that I will not do a software job. So I wanted to do a mechanical job. But circumstances and other things led to this. And I don't, no regrets or anything, but it's been a little challenging because coming from a non-software field to slowly come into software to understand how it works, how to make things work, it was quite a challenge. But I had very good mentors, and there was no looking back.
When you say tech was new,
yes,
but what I've seen always is you understood the problem, and that's how you were able to solve it differently, in my view.
Yeah, so I always used to come to the factory to see what is there, something new to solve, something we have not touched base yet. And Inch was always tech oriented, whether it's in the factory department or the design department, it was always tech focused. So that's how I not only thought of how to solve this, I was always thinking of how to solve this problem, but also how to incorporate it into tech down the line, downstream. And I think that was the mindset with which I started thinking, and that's why every problem that I used to take up, I used to think, okay, I have to solve this, but also this has to be streamlined using technology, it has to be automated using technology. Because the culture of Inch was that, saying that, it's not manual, we should not be people dependent, it has to be process, tech oriented, it has to be very streamlined.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a culture which actually molded my thinking and my problem solving to,
mm-hmm.
the way you described it to be.
Got it.
So I just wanted to know, again, you were a software engineer yourself, been in tech for a decade.
Yeah, over 2 decades now.
Then you got into manufacturing, then you had your own studio, and then you led a product in a unicorn, $1 billion company, and then again in tech. But which part of this did you have the most sleepless nights? Was it when you had the factory or your own studio, or when you were working in Blue Space, or now?
So it's over 2 decades of journey. It's all started with tech for me. I was with Infosys for over a decade, traveled around the world. One thing that always anchored me was design and space. So after being in tech for so long, decided that I have to do something in the interior space. Started off with Inch. When we started off, we didn't know how deep the problem was, how big a market opportunity that we were, knocking on. So from software directly into manufacturing gave me a lot of sleepless nights. Basically loss of control, lack of visibility, unorganized, unskilled workforce, and we have to deliver. The expectations were very, very high. We were the go-to supplier for all the startup brands then. We were the first to manufacture for LiveSpace, HomeLane, Design Cafe, name it, and we were their back-end manufacturer supplier. So with this responsibility with us to deliver to their promise gave us a lot of sleepless nights. So yeah.
So coming to studio, so you were into manufacturing, like you said, all the go-to names were, relying on you to supply the products. But what led you to, having your own studio, and how was that journey, and how was the transition like?
Got it. So we started with B2C, very brief. Then because we had our manufacturing facility, when we pivoted into B2B. So while we were manufacturing at scale for all of these players, we wanted to be the Foxconn for this industry. We were living to that dream. We felt somewhere we'll have to connect to our end users. We'll have to have an experience of what the homeowner is going through in this industry. And that's how we decided to put in our own studio. Little did we know that the problem on the other side was even more bigger and challenging than what we had faced and solved in the B2B space. It started off with, hiring the designer, closing the deal, then designing the project for the customer requirement, and then sending it as an information to factory was very, very broken. It was very highly people dependent. It was a lot of chaos is what I would say. It was not a smooth conversation that between the customer, consumer and the designer and the backend team. It was just that, coming from a software background where I've provided software services and product services to international client from India, from there to, anchoring a conversation between an end consumer and a designer and a backend factory, I felt things were just happening. There was no process, there was no timeline tracking, and which led to a lot of anxious situations where customers would get frustrated, or the designer is put under pressure, the backend is put in pressure to deliver. So saw a lot of problems, I would say, in the entire chain of from design all the way till manufacturing.
So these problems, what you've just described, we have heard it again and again from a lot of, studio owners, designers. So this is not just the problem which, Grey Wall had, right? It's the problem which everyone is facing. And also you have visited a lot of countries, you have seen the other industries, European industry, Chinese industry. So what is a gold standard? Do they also face problems like this, or they have solved it? If they solved it, how did they solve it?
So the way they've solved it is they value human time. Basically, the investment of a person or the time value of the person or the effort is the highest, and they appreciate that. And keeping that as a base, they've put everything around it to ensure that systems or processes are there wherein people's time is not taken for granted. It's not, designer's time is not taken for granted, the customer's time is not taken for granted, the execution team time is not taken for granted, manufacturing time is not taken for granted. Every people, every entity which is part of this equation kind of interacts like a contract between these entities, whereby they value time, and it's a clean one-way flow, and it's not to and fro between the designer, consumer and the sales team. It's a clean flow, where it's the same flow. It's like a car assembly engine that keeps running, continuously to execute efficiency and delivery. So I feel that's a primary difference that I noticed when we did execute projects in India versus what I've seen firms abroad do. So they were valuing time, and because they were valuing time, they had put in a lot of process in place, systems in place, technology in place, which enabled them to deliver very, very predictably.
Got it. So in terms of the technology and the processes and systems, what they have put in place, how behind is the Indian industry? Let's say, is it a decade behind, 20 years behind, 25 years behind? And how can we catch up? not just catch up, how can we set the standards?
So I would say we are very behind. Our industry is a bit nascent. I would say in terms of technology, we are not behind. It's in terms of mindset, we are behind. In terms of the skill level of the people in this industry, we are behind. But we have access to everything. We have access to the same set of tools, same set of technology, same set of processes, same set of machineries which the West has. So it's just that the mindset has to change, skill levels have to go up, and we can accelerate this by technology itself. So to just give an example, the way we design, today, the way designer engage with the customer and finally execute that as design for production or to a contractor as input, there's a lot of skill gap today. The way a professional architect is able to do it versus an interior designer in a small time studio is able to do it. So there are certain guidelines and processes a seasoned architect is able to follow and thereby able to do it seamlessly, but a junior designer in a studio is not able to do it. One is the skill levels and also the tools that they are equipped with currently are the primary gaps according to me.
So speaking of tools, we had successfully launched Naadi Design. So where do you see this taking the industry in the next, few years, 5 years, decade?
So as I had said, it's a skill gap. It's the value of human resource, which is what is a bigger problem. Through Naadi Design, we are exactly trying to solve for that. Basically, to make designer more efficient, to make the output of the designer more predictable, and to streamline the process of design. In the current practice, what we see is designer is a powerhouse of inspiration. That is what they're exactly supposed to do. But today they're caught up with too many other things. They're caught up with preparing renders, coordinating with 3D artists, preparing 2D drawings, detailed production drawings, engaging with juniors to make this happen, trying to understand what's the catalog of products that's available in the market, trying to see how that can fit into the design. Everything is happening from scratch. Every design a designer is doing for their customer is a 0 to 1 problem. That's killing time. Everywhere people are starting all the way from the box, all the way from floor plan. It's not needed. Today, it's like starting to make our dosa idli all the way from rice. We don't follow that workflow mostly. We have ID, we can make the dosa from there. Why do we have to start all the way from the batter? So we can deliver the same crispy dosa by just cut shorting things. So I feel Naadi Design is trying to do exactly that, wherein it is not curbing the creativity of the designer, making the designer focus on their core values while taking all their mundane other activities assisted by technology, whereby they become more efficient. The moment the designer is more efficient, they can invest their time on quality design and they can invest their time to cater to more customers.
So again, when you say tech assisted by technology, we can't skip AI. Everything what you're seeing around nowadays, it's AI this, AI that.
Yeah.
And there's also a lot of some kind of fear saying AI will replace people. I personally, I don't believe that. Maybe a few mundane, redundant tasks, maybe. But coming to design, do you feel like AI can completely eliminate a designer ever?
No. This is a very personalized, emotional process of bringing a consumer's dream into reality. We can use AI as a tool, but that cannot deliver emotion. Finally, the designer is expected to deliver a home. It's not a space.
Got it.
It's very, very tailored. It's very, very personalized. It's not off-the-shelf product that the consumer wants. Consumers are willing to invest time, invest money, invest their dream to make this in reality. So AI can assist the designer, but AI cannot replace the designer. AI can give directions, make designer more efficient, can make them deliver better, faster, but it's like you cannot eliminate a doctor out of an operation. We have so many tools and equipments out there. We will never go and sit in front of a robot and get ourselves operated. Even though however advanced the technology might be, we would still need that human intervention. The human is the one who's giving that emotion over there, which a system can never do. So that's my take on AI in this industry.
So, I mean, that was an answer I think you have, because this was your experience as well, because you have interacted with a lot of customers yourself, and over a period of time. But how do you think a customer's expectation has changed over the past 10 years? Are they expecting something modern, or what are the expectations when they walk into a showroom? What do they actually expect, and what would make them go wow?
So basically, it's something good that this industry has done to shift gears from unorganized to organized. We've marketed the product very, very well. We have ignited the expectations of consumer to say that you deserve the best, you deserve designer output, and that has led to consumer expect a lot. The moment they get in their keys, they want a super duper designed home for them. There are cases where the customer is going out of their way, out of their budget to get that into reality. That is, I feel, is the greatest thing that has happened, wherein the consumer is being made to aspire, to dream, and that is what is catalyzing this industry right now, where they want to engage with more and more organized players so that they can, get that into reality. And that's where a lot of tools and visualizations help them visualize a space before, signing it up or pushing it into production. And because of predictable supply chain, whatever they're seeing as renders and visuals, they're able to see it as final homes as well. So there's a lot of marketing that's gone to make them invest their money into this. It's like how I would say exciting a car purchase was, how exciting a wedding is. On similar lines, it's become very, very exciting to get your home the way you want, and not just blank walls and you just looking at it more like a place where you want to rest and settle.
I think a catalyst is also they're exposed to more and more well-designed houses in terms of their probably neighbors, or even reels or YouTube shorts. It's always like you get your beautiful houses, and I think that is also one of the catalysts which leads them to say, I don't want normal house done by a carpenter with some boxes here and there. They want something really well designed, something modern, something which they'll feel happy to step into every day, end of the day. But this is what they're expecting. Let's say they take a Pinterest image and they say, I want exactly this, I want exactly that. Do you feel it's the designers, is it curbing the designers? Are they becoming just duplicators of Pinterest images? Because designers always want to design something new, they want to create something new, they want to create inspirations themselves, not follow inspirations. So how do you see that happening? How does that work? Because you have interacted with a lot of designers and customers alike. So how do you see this one?
So basically, there's nothing wrong in Pinterest. That is what is triggering the imaginations or making the consumer aspire more. So and always what I've seen is the customer gives 20 Pinterest and says, I want all of this in my single home. So it's the designer who's actually understanding from that signals of information and putting it all together, which will work for the customer. And he or she is playing the role of getting the right fit for that space, for the right fit for that price and the time, and with whatever is available out there for them. And that process of transforming is what the designer is trying to do, and tools are the way with which they are able to get that right. Today, visualization is one of the key tools that the designer needs, and the better and crisper the visualization is, the better the consumer is able to understand what's going to come out. And that's exactly what we are trying to solve as part of Naadi Design, where we want the visualization to be spot on, wherein they are able to get what the designer is intending to deliver in a visual format where they can consume.
And also it's very important, like you mentioned earlier, for them to receive the final product as per what they're seeing in those renders and images and panoramas.
Yes.
So just to conclude this session, in one statement, what do you think Naadi Design is going to do for this industry in the next 2 years?
I would say bring in efficiency is the key thing that we are trying to solve for. Become a tool for the designer where they are able to deliver better, focus more on creativity. At the same time, they become more efficient. and they are able to deliver high quality designs, get a lot of assistance from the tool so that their design is differentiated from others out there in the market, and bring in a lot of predictability of their delivery. So for example, the renders, the visuals should be very, very realistic, and it should also mimic what is finally going to come out. It shouldn't be something shown and what is delivered. There shouldn't be any gap there. So I feel Naadi design is going to solve for efficiency, predictability. It's going to make it more seamless. It's going to make the entire process of design between the consumer and the designer more engaging, very collaborative and fun. Yeah, that's what we are trying to aspire for.
That's it, I think. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you for this.